Hello friends, today we will talk about the Varaha Avatar of Vishnu. Varaha Avatar is a wild boar form of Vishnu, and this story is mentioned in almost all the Puranas, including Bhagavata Purana, in a very detailed manner. So let's try to start with the story as such. So just after creation, just after Brahma has created the world, a demon called Hiranyaksha tried to steal the earth, and he was trying to sink the earth in waters, in an ocean. At that time, Vishnu, in the form of boar, came and saved the earth. And if you look at who Hiranyaksha demon is, there is another story linked to that, which is next to an ocean, there were a pair of seagulls living, and Vishnu was also living next to that. Every year, the female seagull used to lay an egg, and this egg was swept by the ocean. So as days went by, the seagull laid the egg in a farther place, but still the ocean came in and swept the egg, and the egg was lost. So Vishnu tried to help the seagull, and he drank all the ocean completely. And just because he drank all the waters of the ocean, he was a bit tired. And then at that time, when Vishnu was tired, Hiranyaksha, the demon, came and he tried to steal earth from Vishnu. And then Vishnu, in the form of a boar, fought with Hiranyaksha and restored earth. In some versions of the story, you will find that Brahma or Prajapati, based on which version of the Purana you read, after saving Mother Earth or Prithvi, Bhuma Devi, it's all the same. The god married the earth. So this is the story, in the Puranas. We live in the 21st century, scientific world, modern science. A boar lifting earth, is it possible? No. Rejected. The whole thing is rejected, can be rejected. And it is the case now. Unless you do not understand the core principle or the essence of the story does not make any sense at all. So what does this story mean? Before trying to analyze what the story means, we'll have to look into a bit of science, embryology, especially the reproductive cycle within a female body. So initially, we already spoke about what happens in a male body, especially the formation of sperm, a spermatozoa, how it is formed and how it travels to the female body in the Matsya Avatar, in the other video. And this story is a continuation of that, but happening in a female body. That's it. So if you have to elaborate, I'll have to use quite a lot of technical terms, especially dealing with embryology. So what is that? I'll try to summarize the core principles within the female body, and then we will see how this is linked. The hypothalamus, somewhere next to the brain, stimulates the pituitary gland and generates GnRH hormone, gonadotrophin releasing hormone, which stimulates the pituitary gland further, and then it also creates luteinizing hormone. These are two hormones generated by the brain or by the pituitary gland. So essentially there are three hormones coming from the top. One is GnRH, LH and follicle stimulating hormone. There are three hormones coming from the top. Initially GnRH and FSH are generated. This FSH, the follicle stimulating hormone, as the name implies, stimulates the ovary. Within the ovary of the female reproductive organ, which is the female reproductive organ, the oogonia, or the, let's say, smallest form of the cells created from the germ cells, are formed within a follicle. Yeah, it is in its tiny form, and these follicles are stimulated by the FSH, follicle stimulating hormones. And there are many such follicles which start to develop. Out of these follicles, one follicle matures. Yeah, out of the two ovaries, this happens in one ovary. By mid time of the periodic cycle, which is about 28 days, this egg is released by the ovary. This egg, this released egg, is captured by the fallopian tube, and this egg is transported into the uterine cavity or uterus. We'll have to remember that this egg can live for maybe 24 hours since the time of its release. If it is not fertilized by a sperm, then this egg will be washed away in the form of the menstruation cycle routine process. Again, how this egg, there are many processes which are happening in the female body. The endometrium lining, is, let's say, thickened by some other hormones which are generated by the corpus luteum, and it's a cyclic process. It is a very, very coordinated process happening without our knowledge. It's all happening within the female body. So the important point here is, if the egg is not fertilized, it is withered away. If the egg is fertilized by the sperm, then conception happens and estrogen or progesterone are generated accordingly, so that the endometrium lining thickens and provides a place for the egg to implant itself in the lining, which then becomes the placenta and so on. So how is this related? So as I said earlier, The first version of the Vishnu avatar in the Matsya form is the journey, and this one is a continuation of that story but in a different format. So now if you try to compare these two, what happens is, think of the seagull story which I said earlier. Every month one egg is released, which is given as every year one of the seagull lays an egg, and this is washed away by the sea. So what happens in the normal periodic cycle, this egg after its release will travel its journey but then will be lost. So this egg is the earth. This is the key thing. If you just try to think of the egg, or if try to think of the earth as the real earth, the story does not make any sense at all. So what happens? Vishnu in the form of a boar. So let's start. The egg travels in its normal cycle, withers away, and it happens every time. There is no life created. So this story is linked to creation. This is another important point. This happens when Brahma was creating the whole universe. Yeah? He started to create the universe, and then this demon tried to steal away the earth. So this is the first bit, and then Vishnu tried to help by drinking all the waters, and he was tired. So that means this particular egg, which is about to be made as a baby, will be taken into the uterine cavity, and it was about to be destroyed, because if there is no conception by a sperm, it is going to die. It is going to be washed away, because the endometrium lining will be shed and this particular egg will be washed away. And at that time, Vishnu in the form of a boar comes into picture. So before that, the Mother Earth was crying, and there are some stories according to the Indian drama style. Yeah? But these are all minute details. But if you look at this very carefully in the appropriate Puranas, you can find literal comparison with the current embryology. This is not just story, but some versions of the Puranas were literally translated or copied according to the author's style, and the facts have been distorted. So it's very hard to distinguish. So Vishnu in the form of a boar came to rescue the earth. Why boar? There are so many animals. Why boar? Boar is the animal which tries to find its food by smell. Yeah, it is not a human. It is not an animal. The sperm, how do you say, what type of, let's say, being is that? Human or animal? It's very hard. So what they have given the name as a boar, something which is of great strength. Yeah? And if you look into the details of how a boar regenerates or reproduces, and so on, the characteristics of a boar with the sperm, it will be the same. It will be the same. So anyway, the sperms also tries to find the egg, because there are two ovaries. Yeah, only one will release an egg. So it is the job of the sperm to find out which ovary has ovulated and then travel in that direction. The sperm going in the other direction will have to die. Yeah? So it is just by using the smell the sperms move just by using the smell. So likewise, the boar is also an animal which uses smell to find its food. So with a great strength, yeah, and it fights hard, and that's why boars, or in many mythologies, Japanese, Chinese, they link the boar to fertility, because this boar, this particular Varaha avatar, will then try to find this egg and penetrate. That's what is given as Varaha saving the earth. And then it makes sense. Brahma or Prajapati married Bhuma Devi. So there was a union between the sperm and the egg. Then the creation continued. It is not the first creation. The creation which was created, the egg and the sperm, were about to be destroyed, or the egg which was created is the actual creation. And then this is the secondary creation which was supported by Lord Vishnu, which continues to develop into embryo. Without this logic, it will not fit, or we will tend to leave the story as a myth. It has remained as a myth so long. You try to apply this logic and read the appropriate Puranas. It should match, because the demon who was trying to take away this earth is Hiranyaksha. There is another one who is a twin brother which will come, which I will cover in the next avatar, which is called the Narasimha avatar. But everything is happening in the human body. There is nothing special which is outside. But in the olden days, it was not easy. The embryology as we know today did not exist. But the rishis were able to see this, and they have noticed that, or they have written that according to the language which was prevalent at that time. And now if we tend to read it, we tend to reject that, saying that as a myth. It is not a myth, it is pure science which can be compared, and which can be even, let's say, compared to the modern techniques which we know. Even today, most of the experiments cannot be carried out because they are happening within the core of the human body, uterine cavity. Some experiments are not possible. Researches are still ongoing. But I would like to highlight that this particular avatar of Vishnu is nothing but the story which I have mentioned in this video. Don't take my words, try to read and compare this story with this interpretation. It should match, it will match, I'm sure. Thank you. May God bless you.